Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Well, I figured since my 15-minute how to remove the dash to get to the heater core in a 99 to 06 Silverado, Tahoe, Suburban has been so popular on YouTube. I mean, it's blown up. That's my biggest video. Figure let's do a 15-minute video on how to diagnose what's wrong with the heat in a truck. This truck right here is a perfect candidate. It come to me and he has no heat. So I'm gonna fire this thing up, I'm gonna let it warm up, and we're gonna go through and see what's the cause of it. I'm gonna walk through my process on what I do to go through and figure out what's wrong with the heat or what's not. All right, well, first and foremost, she got 233,000 on her. Just getting broke in. Let's fire this thing up. It ain't too cold today. Probably 40 degrees, 45 degrees. If I had to guess, hell, it might even be 35 degrees. It ain't super cold here in North Carolina. This truck's been fired up and backed out the garage a little bit ago because it stayed inside the shop last night. All right, so now that we're starting to get a little bit of temperature in it, we should, if we turn the heat on, so first let's make sure we spin the heat all the way over. Let's hit it on recirculate inside. Let's do this right here. Let's take it off defrost. Turn it here, recirculate inside. We're gonna make sure, like I said, we put it right here, we're gonna feel. And right now it's cool air. I mean, it's not super cold air, but it ain't hot air. It's kind of like about room temperature, just blowing randomly. All right, so first and foremost, we got a squeak down here on one of the belts, but the belts are on it and the water pump's turning. So the water pump, it's been replaced before. The top hose here, the truck ain't overheating or nothing. Top hose here is getting some warm in it. So I'm gonna come over here to this, and please excuse that noise if it gets on your. Okay, so we got heat on this hose. This hose is ice cold, So that tells me right there that there's a blockage either in the heater core or in this hose that returns. So like I said, this line's hot. There's no reason why you should have a hot hose on one and a cold hose on the other. Sometimes you can feel inside these hoses, they get some crap up inside of them and you can feel where the blockage is and you can break it loose. So I'm gonna show y'all what I do. But before that, I'm gonna show y'all a couple other things that you can check, even though I know now where the blockage is at. So we're gonna go through the process of getting that where it'll circulate. Now, if you know your heater core is plugged, you don't have to do these other steps. This is just, I figured I'd make a whole sequel on what you need to do. So if your heater core is hot on both sides, then follow these next steps. If they're not, then skip these next steps and just get your blockage fixed. All right, so thank God for paint stick, because I don't want to mess with all this stuff. So first and foremost, when you come up in here and you start messing around with these heater boxes, if you look, that's your recirculative air. So if I hit the button up here on the dash, you'll watch that door will move. See it now, says turn outside for fresh air. See, now I hit it again and it's opening back up. So you want to look for your door actuators. A lot of times on Tahoes and stuff like that, they'll be right in this area right here up top. On this truck, I don't see one there. A lot of times they'll bolt up there. Let me look. So this one will probably be underneath. So let me go get a wrench real quick and pull out this down here, this cover. Gotta get a 7mm and pull, I think it's 2 or 3 bolts. I'll pull this out and then I'll find where the blend door motor is so we can verify that it's actually moving. So this right here is your blower resistor. Goes to your blower motor. So basically this bolt's in here and this is like a big heat sink. It keeps this board cool when the air blows through it, but that's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is an actuator like that right there. There's 2 or 3 different ones. Sometimes for like his and hers, if you got a driver's side and a passenger side, it'll have 2 different ones, 2 different heat levels. This truck's pretty basic. So that's either gonna be for the feet door down there, or that's gonna be for the heater core one. Let me check real quick. Well, another way you can check sometimes, you can come right here, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna reach up here, I'm gonna spin my knobs around, and we'll look for movement. Okay, so let me turn it on our feet. See if that thing, sorry about the camera. Okay, I didn't see it turn right there. Let's turn the heat knob on. There you go. So see, that's the one for my heat right there. That's my blend door. That's the main one for the heat, but see, it's turning. See, when I spin the knob here, that one's turning from hot to cold. So if you get in one of these Silverados like this, and you don't have no heat, there's also, you can look underneath, you can put your finger down there on it. You turn this knob up here, and you spin it. If you don't feel that thing move, or you feel this thing clicking, a lot of times these gears will strip inside here, so you'll feel it click, and it won't move. But that's why you'll hear, sometimes you hear it click, 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 click in the dash. It's usually one of these are broke. A lot of times it's the one for the fresh air vents broke, and you'll hear them click when you start the vehicle, when it's going to close. But this one right here, I know this one's moving, so I know the door, at least that shaft's working. So if I don't have heat and this shaft here is turning, and I can watch the black shaft move, there's only one of two options. So if the shaft moves, but I still don't have heat inside, and the heater core, both lines on the heater core are hot, and that's moving, but there's no heat, then I have a broken blend door inside the heater box. Then you got to tear the whole dash out and replace that blend door, because that shaft, it'll break. Something will get in there and that door won't close, and that shaft will twist it off over time. So that lets me know that that's broke. But if that don't move, then I know that the actuator itself is bad. So then you just go buy your actuator right there, put 2 bolts in it, replace it. Super easy, and that'll get you heat. But if that don't work, like I said, then you got a plugged heater core. So this thing right here has a plugged heater core, because all that's working like it's supposed to. But we know the heater hose, one's hot, one's cold. So let me get out here. I'm gonna flush this heater core out and show y'all. Let's see what comes out of it. All right, so just to check, let's just make sure we got our hose is hot, our hose is still cold. So what I'm gonna do, I'm still feeling this hose to see if there's anything inside of it. This is a quick disconnect right here. I don't want no part of it. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to break it. I don't want to deal with it today. So this is removable. So I'm going to take the hose off this side, and I'm going to come down here. I'm going to remove the hose from the water pump. It's the front one. Turn my light on real quick. So I'm going to take my clamp loose right here. Well, that's my fault. I'm going to take my line loose right here. I'm going to pull that line off, and I'm going to check it and figure out why we have a blockage. Look at this. So if I take my hose here and I pump it with my hand, watch this hose. Look at that. This is the bottom hose that goes into the water pump itself. This is just me taking the water pump to the radiator down here. I'm just taking the hose, squeezing it. Watch that. Look at that hose moving. It's moving because there's a blockage on this side here. So this hose goes from the tank here, this hose here, down, and into there. So the temperature, it's 190 degrees inside. So you gotta be careful with this. Don't burn yourself. You know what I mean? Like it ain't worth all that. I know you want heat, but it ain't worth burning yourself up. So let me go through and I'm gonna pull that clamp off first. But first and foremost, before you do anything to it, take your cap loose, bleed the air off. There you go. Like I said, that water's still cold as can be for some reason. So let's figure out why that water's cold, and it should be warm because the system's hot. This is hot. The radiator hose are all warm, but that's cold. I mean, that's still cold. So we got a blockage in here. We know for a fact we got a blockage in here because of that. So let me go through and let me pull that hose off real quick. So basically, always remember, you got a water pump on here. And with that water pump, it's gonna pump water. As crazy as that sounds. So don't go looking at this end of this hose, because either that side's gonna pump water or this side's gonna pump water. So if you look at this thing and somebody goes to crank it, it's gonna turn around and kick water out of it. So what I like to do is take your old jug, set it right here, take this, put it here. Watch out for that, because you don't know if this one's the feed or that one's the feed for the water pump, for the heater core. So I'm gonna stand back, so in case that sprays water out, I'm gonna have him fire it up. I'm gonna hold this hose, and you can feel if it pumps. Crank it. Yep. Look at this. So right there, see what I was talking about? And that's hot water. Cut it off. Look, we got plenty of flow this way. So that is my feed hose for the heater core. So that means this is the return. So we're gonna take this return down here, we're gonna pull it off, and we're gonna turn around and try pumping water backwards. So I'll tell you a way, if you don't have a good garden hose, hold on one second. So I ended up wanting to go take loose this hose down here so that way we can see if there was a blockage, and the fitting broke. So I ordered a hose, it'll be here in just a minute. I went ahead and broke it loose on here. It's a pain in the butt, so I got that off. So meantime, hopefully the blockage is in the hose and not in the core. But I'm gonna run down to my house real quick. I'm gonna grab a hose. I'm gonna come back and we're gonna go through and go ahead and flush this heater core while we wait on the new hose to come. That way we know the heater core is clear, clean and clear. So let me get back with you. All right, so since this is our feed side, it's our hose side, we're just gonna shut the hose up on here. Barely turn it on, Billy.
Ready?
Slowly. I'm gonna see if anything comes out. Yep, let's flush it. Look, turn a little bit more. Oh yeah, we got good flow right there. Slow it down a little bit. Slow it down a little bit. I don't want it all over the motor and stuff. Yeah, see, we got good flow right there. That thing's flowing real good. There's hardly no pressure on this side back flushing like that. So let's do it this way. We go that way, then we come back this way. Look at that. There's no pressure blowing on my hose here. See right there when I touch it? See, look. Flop it back and forth a few times. We got good clean water coming out of it. There you go. So we put that new hose on here, we'll have good flow. We'll have good heat. Going on Smart, they built a metal one. Got a metal T right there. That thing will be good. Something I always do before I hook now I know the heater core's on, I got the hose on it. One thing I like to do before I turn around and fire it back up, I like to turn the water hose on, and I want to pump it, make sure I get all the air out of both these lines, or try to get all the air out. So see, we got that pumped up. This line right here should be, so there you go, that line's pumping water out of it now. So now I'm gonna come over here, stick this to the heater core side, and see we're pumping water. So we know we're circulating because we got it from both ways. So what I always do, I'll take it like this real quick, and I come over here and I'll plug it up. If I can get it up on there, I'll stick my hose up on it like that. Then I come back and I fill my system up. I overfill my system for just a second, so it pushes all that. Cut it off. So it pushes all that water out, or all the air out of the system or whatever. And that way, once we get all the air out of the system, we shouldn't have no problem. So I'm gonna crank it up and let it run, and then I'm gonna leave the cap off of it for a minute so that I can bubble some of this out and get some of it back down to the recommended amount. So I've dumped my antifreeze. I've done filled antifreeze up in here, and it just sucked it down as soon as I crunk it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and top it off right there. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and top the system off with coolant. Let it sit and bubble itself out until I get that coolant, until I get it all circulate like it's supposed to be. That should be good. All right, let me put the lid on. We're gonna run it and see what it does. Look, you can also see that here where the water's moving right there through the tank. Yeah, let it bubble it all up. Get it all. We got our squeak back, but I can tell you right now, I got heat here, I got heat here. I ain't got inside of it yet. I just revved up a few times. I can feel heat in the line. Let's get inside of it and check and see if there's any heat in it. I'm gonna check them belts out before I send it back to him. Oh yeah, we got heat. Heck yeah. So that's just some of the steps that as a mechanic that I go through and check out on these trucks and stuff to get heat going back in them. Pretty simple process. Like I said, if you just turn around and use common sense sometimes. I know I had to be a little slow on some things because not everybody's smart as you guys in the comment sections with your heat working and stuff. So said the heat's working good, so I just wanted to go through and show y'all the process that we go through on checking out what the steps I start with to finish to make sure I can get some heat in the vehicle. So please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you one later. Thank you.